finding community, finding something that's of service outside of yourself seems huge, and not just shoveling all of your emotions down, which tends to be the solution. I think a lot of I don't know if it's fear or if it was just bad advice, but I see a lot of men that are just so apprehensive about sharing their feelings,
Yeah,
right? And they think that that's a weakness, or it's not masculine. Like, a man has to be stoic
yeah,
in a way. And that's kind of how you and I started talking, was you shared that clip, and I watched it, and it's this man, and I'll make
that's
sure we
right.
put that in the lower thirds, but it's this man who has this spool of wire, and he's getting really emotional about like how attached he is to it and what it means to him, and he's had it for 40 years.
And it's almost done.
Yeah. And it's like,
And his whole life is going through his eyes and his mind. His successes, his losses, his changes, his hopes, maybe some of the things that he has failed at, and it's there, right?
and then he's saying this to his wife, who's supposed to be your confidant, like the person you can show all of yourself with. And then she immediately starts harping on him about his Jets hat or something, because
Yeah,
that
dismissive.
level of intimacy was so scary to her that she couldn't even acknowledge it, and she had to quickly like move on to something else. And then you see that and you're like, well, no wonder men don't share what's going on,
Yeah.
because it's met with that. And
Yes.
what trash that is. So it's like, it's a failure on society in general, but I think you see a lot of weak women, and you had a good word for it. You corrected me when I said weak women at dinner last night, because it's like women that aren't okay with like a man's vulnerability.
Yeah. Did I say ill-equipped?
Maybe.
Something like ill-equipped, unconscious, undeveloped. Again, maybe that's a societal thing because we have it so freaking great and easy in this country that traditional roles that have served us as a human race for millennia, they've dismantled in the last 50 years. I've learned to be hard when I need to be, but my nature is to care. I'm a caring person by nature. Not everybody is, but I am. Especially us fighters, professional fighters, military, police, firefighters, combat sportsmen. We have to check our pain and check our suffering to the side to accomplish all the time. And then those of us that do this through our teens, 20s, and 30s, the most developmental time for men's brains and psyches, we almost have no experience and training with communicating with women. Not really. We really don't. And what we want to share, we don't even know how to access that. And when we're shut down, or we're not getting what we think we really need or what we need, we can either put up the walls or go to the drink. And then we become diseased. I think it's been a lot of my brothers that have killed themselves recently is because, first of all, loss of identity. They're out of the Marine Corps or out of the service. They've packed a lifetime of combat trauma and what it does to our nervous system to be excellent there, which doesn't necessarily compute with being excellent here. And we have no experience of the banal day-to-day relationship-oriented discussions and themes that we go through day-to-day, that we go through in this life. So we don't have any experience there. And in some ways, I'll speak for myself, maybe some arrested development. Maybe part of the reason I've always been into the warrior culture also is because I wasn't going to get any love from my mom. She wasn't there. And then the relationships I had, to include my wife, I just provided and protected and looked beautiful in my uniform and made love to her when I'd see her every 4 months when I was in school's phase. And then I was going to war. And then I thought, well, I'm sending all my money home and I'm an honorable man. So what more could she want? Mm-hmm. And there's a massive gulf of what a relationship is as opposed to what we think it is, because we have no experience. And it's so much more. It's so much more trust. It's so much more intimacy. It's so much more care. And I just hope, I mean, that's what I'm looking for in my future. And how I'm doing that is I'm really working on myself. But my men that have killed themselves just this year, it was financial, and then alcohol or drugs, loss of identity, and the last one, fighting with the wife, and or losing the kids, or divorce, or divorce.
Yeah.
That failure and pain and not knowing how to untangle the emotions of that because you have no experience doing it. The pain hurts so bad. The shame I felt when I lost my son, the shame I felt by walking away from my wife because I didn't want to be I didn't want anyone close to me anymore. And it was so unbearable when I was at my worst with drugs, alcohol, no job, and no son. And here I am possibly perpetuating the same way of growing up that I went through. That was absolute freaking horror. It hurt so bad. I thought it was an easy answer was to kill myself because I am absolutely useless and I can't take the pain. And I don't know what to do. And I had a divine intervention and I felt God talk to me and tell me that it's going to be okay. And so I took action. I pulled the pistol out of my mouth. I took action, but I felt God say it's going to be okay, son, not even in words, but I felt it. Almost like my dad, God bless him, almost like my dad talking to me. And then I took action immediately and I called my brother Caesar and because I had lots of weapons at the home and I said, come get the weapons. Dumped out the alcohol and dumped out the drugs and then got clean and started training. And about a year after that, started Force Blue. 2 years after that, started a relationship. A year after that, got my career back. And the dominoes started falling in a good way for me. But I don't think men and women that take that permanent solution to a temporary problem, I don't think they're weak. They're afflicted. They're afflicted. I've been there. They're afflicted. And I'm compelled to do everything I can in my life now to be a voice for them and to help them